Welcome. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us and being interested in Serve DC's AmeriCorps State Formula Grant Competition peer review process. My name is Tracy Rollins Johnson, the National Service Officer here at Serve DC. I'm here with my colleagues, Erica Wilson Wells and Glenda Gudiel, Serve DC's Grants Management Specialist, and we will be presenting on our peer reviewer process and expectations. Thank you for your interest in serving as a peer reviewer for the Serve DC AmeriCorps State Formula Grant Review and Application process. This is an excellent opportunity to learn more about the grant making process, develop your own grant writing skills, and to contribute your knowledge and experience to our efforts to select high quality programs for AmeriCorps funding. Please take a few seconds to review our training objectives below. Next, we will discuss our focus. Serve DC's program development priorities add to or complement the following AmeriCorps priorities. We have disaster services, economic opportunity, education, healthy futures, veterans and military families, rural intermediaries, faith-based organizations, COVID-19 relief, racial inequity, and our gun violence prevention. What does a peer reviewer do? Peer reviewers will help to evaluate grant applications for the FY22 AmeriCorps Formula Grant Competition. Reviewers read, score, and evaluate applications and discuss their findings with Serve DC staff over a conference call. 1. Commitment. Peer reviewers must be available to read and score applications between April the 11th through the 25th, 2022. The time commitment for participating in a review is roughly 1 to 2 hours to discuss and review the scores. 2. Location. The reviewing process of the grant applications and webinars will take place in your home or office. And 3. Responsibilities and expectations. Because a large part of the review process consists of reading applications, you will be responsible for providing detailed written responses concerning your review and score.
Thank you, Tracy. Background. AmeriCorps has an extensive application process that starts in the fall, October 22, and ends by the end of June. There are several due dates and types of application submissions, so it is important to understand each. This section explains the basic definitions, a review process, and policies Serve DC follows. Definitions. Serve DC has the potential to fund all types of grants depending on the types of submissions. Any organizations funded under the below definitions are considered a part of Serve DC's portfolio to manage. Regardless of the type of funding, funded organizations must follow the rules and regulations set out by both CNCS AmeriCorps and Serve DC. General definitions. Grant application review process refers to the process employed by Serve DC for the review and selection of AmeriCorps state host organizations. Sub-grantee means the host organization with legal and fiscal responsibilities for an AmeriCorps state formula competitive or education award program and its members. Funding types. Formula grant. An award to organizations operating in Washington, D.C. that are nominated to participate in a statewide competition. Successful applicants receive grants to fund a portion of program costs and members' living allowance. Types of applicants: new, continuing, or recompete. A new applicant has no previous AmeriCorps funding or a 5-year gap in funding. A continuing applicant is a formula sub-grantee in year 1, 2, or 3 of a fixed amount or cost reimbursable formula grant. A recompete applicant is a formula sub-grantee in the last year of a 3-year fixed amount or cost reimbursable formula grant. Criteria for eligible applicants. Eligible applicants are local nonprofit organizations, institutions of higher education, and/or state and local units of government. Programs applying to serve DC for funding must operate their program only within the District of Columbia. Organizations that have been convicted of a federal crime are disqualified from receiving funds. An organization described in Section 501c4 of the Internal Revenue Code, 26 U.S.C. 501c4, that engages in lobbying activities is also not eligible to apply, serve as a host site for members, or act in any type of supervisory role in the program. Individuals are not eligible to apply. What AmeriCorps programs do: meeting critical needs across America. AmeriCorps members tutor and mentor youth, clean parks and streams, and build affordable housing.
Thank you, Erica. Who are AmeriCorps members? AmeriCorps members are individuals enrolled in a specific term of service with the AmeriCorps program. Members are not volunteers or employees. Some members receive a living allowance, health insurance, and health care assistance. AmeriCorps members receive a Siegel Education Award upon completing a term of service. Members have a contract with the program. Members must be supervised. Members receive extensive program-specific training, and members must commit to a specific term of service. Member eligibility. Members must be U.S. citizens, U.S. nationals, or lawful permanent residents of the United States, at least 17 years of age, no upper age limit, high school graduates or GED recipients or working towards this goal, subject to criminal history checks. Also, AmeriCorps programs may add program-specific requirements.
Thank you, Tracy. Next, we will go into the application and review process. The executive summary is the first narrative field, and it follows a template that applicants need to fill in with information about their program design. Please do not deviate from the template shown on this slide. The application narratives consist of the following fields. All of the narrative fields must be completed and will be assessed to determine your application score. As you can see, the program design makes up 50% of your overall score. Organizational capability, cost effectiveness, and budget adequacy both make up 25% each. Next, we will cover performance measures. What is a performance measure? According to the CNCS, performance measurement is the ongoing, systematic process of tracking your program or project's outputs and outcomes. Outputs are defined as the amount of services provided. Outputs measure services provided, products that were created, or programs that are developed. Outcomes are changes that occur for individuals, communities, organizations, or the environment. Examples include changes in attitudes or beliefs, knowledge or skills, behavior or condition. Application requirements must include one AmeriCorps aligned performance measure to capture the output and outcome of the primary service activity. Performance measures below must be submitted separately in a Word document. Do not include in e-grants. One performance measure relating to AmeriCorps member development and another performance measure relating to non-AmeriCorps member volunteer generation. Characteristics of good performance measures. Outputs and outcomes clearly identify what is counted. Each output or outcome counts only one thing. Outcomes clearly identify a change in knowledge, attitude, behavior, or condition. Outcomes clearly specify the level of improvement necessary to be counted as improved. Outcomes count individual level gains, not average gains for the population served. Outcomes can be measured during a single grant year. Next, we will cover evidence-based evaluation for 20 points. All applicants must include a description of up to 2 research studies or evaluations in order to earn points, including the following information: the date the research or evaluation was completed and the time period for which the intervention was examined, a description of the target population studied, for example, the demographics, the methodology used in the study, for example, outcome study, random assignment, regression discontinuity design, or propensity score matching, a description of the data, data source, and data collection methods, the outcomes or impacts examined and the study findings, the strength of the findings, for example, confidence levels, statistical power of the study design, and statistical significance of findings. And lastly, if the program is looking to implement an evidence-based intervention, they must explain how the intervention is going to be implemented with fidelity. Member experience evaluation for 6 points. AmeriCorps members will gain skills as a result of their training and service that can be utilized and will be valued by future employers after their service term is completed. The program will recruit AmeriCorps members from the geographic or demographic communities in which the programs operate. The applicant will foster an inclusive service culture where different backgrounds, talents, and capabilities are welcomed and leveraged for learning and effective service delivery. Organizational evaluation on capability for 25 points. Organizational background and staffing for up to 9 points. Compliance and accountability for up to 8 points. Culture that values learning for up to 4 points, and member supervision for up to 4 points. Next, we will cover budget development with guidelines for 25 points. Cost effectiveness and budget adequacy guidelines. In the narrative field, enter C budget, as the assessment will be of the budget submitted. The budget is assessed on the following criteria. Budget is submitted without mathematical errors. Proposed costs are allowable, reasonable, and allocable to the award. Budget is submitted with adequate information to assess how each line item is calculated. Budget complies with the budget instructions. Match is submitted with adequate information to support the amount written in the budget. The budgeted match is equal to or more than the required match for the given program year. The cost per MSY is equal to or less than the maximum cost per MSY. And lastly, proposed member living allowance is sufficient to support the basic living costs. Cost per MSY. One of the most common questions we receive is, how much money can I ask for with this grant? The answer is that it depends on how many AmeriCorps members you are requesting. To determine the maximum amount of funds that you can request, you will need to determine the cost per MSY. MSY is the member service year. One MSY is equal to one full-time equivalent member position. The cost per MSY is the calculation used to indicate the maximum amount of federal funds that can be requested for your project, based on the number of MSYs that you are requesting. The total AmeriCorps/CNCS share divided by the total MSYs equals the cost per MSY. The maximum cost per MSY depends on the application type. Cost reimbursement grant is $21,600. Fixed amount grant is $21,600. Professional corp grant is $1,000. And education award program grant is $800. A budget serves a number of different functions within an organization. These include allowing management to set financial standards and targets for the short term and developing strategic plans for the long term. In effect, the organization forecasts expected revenues and expenses. Establishing the cash requirements of the organization. In the case of a startup organization or a new program, the budget helps determine startup costs and operating costs. Providing financial management oversight and encouraging internal cost controls. Establishing the benchmarks for an organization's evaluation processes and serving as a useful tool when reporting to external funding sources. Helping an organization establish fundraising goals in support of program activities. Planning the cost of carrying out program goals and objectives. Coordinating program activities and managing performance measures. Communicating the objectives of the program, and lastly, helping to measure progress against the original program plan and control program activities. We will now go into budget terminology. Living allowance is the stipend an AmeriCorps member receives during a term of service. Siegel AmeriCorps Education Award is a benefit provided for completing a term of service in AmeriCorps. Member term of service or slot types, minimum and maximum living allowances, all listed below. Match requirements. Applicants are required to match funds based on the chart below. The applicant's match can be federal or non-federal, cash and/or in-kind contributions. Applicants must demonstrate the ability to meet the match requirement at the time of application submission. Prohibited activities. AmeriCorps members cannot engage in any prohibited activities. This is what cannot be done with AmeriCorps. Prohibited activities are defined as activities that staff, members, and volunteers may not engage in while charging time to the AmeriCorps program, accumulating service or training hours, or otherwise performing activities supported by the AmeriCorps program. Examples of prohibited activities include political activity and advocacy, religious activity, benefiting for-profit entities, voter registration, and abortion services. Process and deadlines. Please make note of the important dates listed below. On Tuesday, February 8, 2022, NOFO and RFA released. On Tuesday, February 23rd, 2022, we held a technical assistance session for all applicants. On Friday, April the 8th, full applications will be due in e-grants by 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. From Monday, May 16th until May 27th, ServDC clarification process will be taking place along with qualifying applicants. On Monday, May 30th, 2022, revised and final applications will be due in e-grants by 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And Wednesday, June 1st, 2022, ServDC will submit complete formula packages to AmeriCorps by 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please feel free to submit any questions via AmeriCorps@dc.gov. Here you will find helpful resources related to AmeriCorps and their grants. The first being a sign up for CNCS emails list. The second being managing AmeriCorps grants. The third being grant terms and conditions. The fourth being GPR resources. And lastly, AmeriCorps State and National Knowledge Network. Thank you for watching our presentation. If you have any questions, please contact ServDC via email